You ever notice how you react the same way to certain things almost automatically?
Yeah.
Like even when you know better.
Oh, absolutely. It feels like getting stuck in a loop sometimes.
Exactly. And that's kind of what we're digging into today. This
Yeah.
really fascinating idea. Are we, like, actually addicted to our own personalities? Hooked on our usual feelings?
Yeah, it's where psychology gets tangled up with some pretty cutting-edge science.
Right. So if you're interested in consciousness, reality, that kind of stuff, stick around.
We're basically on a mission here to unpack how deep these thinking and feeling habits run. And we're going to tackle a pretty provocative
There
question.
he is.
Could our own personal reality be like fundamentally shaped by these internal states? We'll touch on quantum ideas, stories of change.
Yeah.
It's mind-bending stuff.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds complex, maybe a bit out there, but we promise we'll break it down, make it accessible, maybe spark some aha moments.
Hopefully.
And the core debate we'll have is this. If our thoughts and feelings really do create our reality, does that mean we're each living in, like, totally separate realities?
And you'll hear both sides. I'm leaning more towards the enthusiastic wow maybe
Yeah,
perspective.
and I'll be bringing a healthy dose of skepticism,
Yeah,
asking the okay, but how questions.
sounds good. And we're drawing heavily from Joe Dispenza's book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. He does a great job weaving neuroscience with meditation practices.
Cool. So let's jump in. This habit of being yourself.
Hmm.
Dispenza's idea is we develop these really ingrained habits, not just thinking, but feeling habits. They become our personality baseline.
Exactly. And it's reinforced all the time, right? By our daily routines, same places, same people.
The familiar triggers.
Yeah, the familiar triggers, they fire up the same old neural pathways, and the same feelings come flooding back, keeps us locked in.
It's like the environment itself keeps reminding you who you are or who you think you are. Dispenza talks about the environment sort of controlling your
By
mind.
triggering those circuits, yeah. It makes you wonder how much is us and how much is just reaction to surroundings.
He calls it reminding ourselves based on the outer world. We see our stuff, our job, our relationships, and boom, reinforces the old self-image.
Seeking that external validation for the internal story we tell ourselves.
And what about when problems become part of that story?
Hmm.
Like if you constantly think about being broke or sick or lonely.
It gets tangled up with your identity, right? You stop just having a problem and start being the person with that problem.
Yeah, it becomes who you are.
It's a feedback loop. Focus on the problem, feel the feelings of the problem, reinforce the identity of having the problem. It digs the groove deeper.
So awareness is step one, noticing those automatic loops.
Definitely breaking the autopilot.
Okay, so we see how the habit forms. Let's get into the science bit. The brain and body connection. How do these emotional states get such a grip?
This is really key. Dispenza explains that just thinking about something emotional like a past argument or a future worry fires up the brain.
Like it's happening right now.
Pretty much. And it releases the same chemicals, the same neuropeptides and hormones as the actual event. Your body is physiologically experiencing the emotion just from the thought.
Wow. So remembering feeling embarrassed makes your body kind of flush, maybe your heart rate goes up, just like it did then.
Exactly. The brain doesn't always clearly distinguish. And these chemical messengers, neurotransmitters in the brain, neuropeptides, hormones flooding the body, they create the feeling.
Okay, so thought triggers chemistry. Chemistry creates feeling.
And the feeling often triggers more thoughts, like the first one. It's a cycle, brain and body talking back and forth, strengthening that connection every time.
And this is where it gets really interesting, right? The body starts to memorize it.
Yes, that's Dispenza's big point.
Hmm.
Through repetition, the body gets so used to certain chemical states, anxiety, resentment, victimhood, whatever it is, that it almost anticipates and demands them.
The body becomes the mind. That phrase is powerful.
It is. Think about typing your PIN. You don't consciously think, okay, first digit, second digit. Your fingers just know. Your body knows.
All right, muscle memory.
He argues our emotional states can become like that, an unconscious embodied program. Feeling anxious becomes the body's default setting, even if nothing is actually threatening you right now.
Because the body has learned it. It's conditioned.
Exactly. And that's what he calls emotional addiction. We get addicted to the familiar chemical rush of our go-to emotions, even the painful ones. The body craves that baseline.
So trying to change isn't just about changing your mind. It's about changing your body's deeply ingrained habits. That
Yeah.
sounds tough.
It explains why change can be so hard, yeah.
It's a physiological battle, too.
Okay. Brain-body loop, emotional addiction. Got it. Now, let's shift gears. The quantum stuff. This is where my enthusiast side gets
Right,
excited.
so stepping back from classical physics, quantum physics tells us that at the most fundamental level, reality isn't solid stuff. It's more like energy, vibrations, waves of probability.
Like potential just waiting to happen, not fix things. Kinda, yeah. Potential waiting to collapse into reality as we perceive it. And the idea Dispenza presents is that we, as conscious observers, are constantly sending out an energy pattern, a signature.
Based on our thoughts and feelings.
Exactly. Our internal state broadcasts information into this quantum field of potential.
Like a personal radio frequency.
That's a decent analogy. And he points to things like the Heart Math Institute's studies.
Oh yeah, I've heard of those, where people's emotions affected DNA.
Right. They found that focused intention, a clear thought combined with elevated emotions like love or gratitude, could actually change the shape, the conformation of DNA in a test tube at a distance.
Whoa! Okay, that's significant. So our feelings can literally influence physical matter.
That's the implication. And the crucial bit is the quantum field seems to respond not just to what we want or think.
But to who we are being.
Exactly, the overall energetic state, the coherence between your thoughts and your feelings. If you're thinking positive thoughts but feeling fear or lack deep down.
It's like sending out a mixed signal, a fuzzy broadcast.
Precisely. Incoherence. You need alignment. Dispenza uses this model. Thoughts are like the electrical charge sending the signal out. Feelings are the magnetic charge, drawing experiences back to you.
Electric thought, magnetic feeling. Creates an electromagnetic signature.
Right, and when that signature is coherent and powerful, it interacts with this quantum field, which he sometimes calls an invisible intelligence, that organizes energy into matter.
Okay, so if we're broadcasting these unique signatures, and the quantum field responds, this brings us right back to that huge question. Are we creating separate realities? I mean, if my signature is attracting my experiences and yours is attracting yours.
That's the enthusiast viewpoint in a nutshell. If your unique energy signature shapes how the field of potential collapses into your experienced reality, then yeah, maybe we are experiencing fundamentally unique versions of the world tailored to our internal state. Our attention focuses energy, right? And that focus creates our reality.
So someone genuinely living in gratitude might literally perceive and attract more things to be grateful for, while someone stuck in bitterness keeps finding more reasons to be bitter. It's like we're tuning in to different frequencies of reality.
That's the compelling idea. But now for the skeptical take.
All right, hit me with it, because part of me thinks, come on, really?
Well, the skeptic acknowledges mindset is powerful, absolutely. It colors perception, influences choices, affects biology, no doubt. But does it create entirely separate physical realities? We all live on the same planet, right?
We share gravity, we see the same moon. You can't just believe you can fly and float away.
Exactly. There seems to be a shared, objective layer of reality governed by consistent physical laws. The skeptic would argue our thoughts and feelings act more like filters, shaping how we experience and interpret that shared reality, rather than creating fundamentally divergent universes for each person.
So my reality might feel very different from yours based on our internal states, but we're still interacting within the same basic physical framework.
That's the more grounded view, perhaps. It's a difference in degree. How much influence do we really have?
Dispenza talks about living in survival versus creation. How does that fit in?
It's crucial. Survival mode is driven by stress hormones. Your focus narrows to the external world, threats, body sensations, time pressure. You're reactive.
Fight or flight stuff. Looking out for danger.
Right. Creation mode, conversely, is when you shift beyond that. You become less defined by your environment, your body's immediate needs, the linear past-future focus. You connect with pure consciousness, possibilities. You become proactive, intentional.
So survival mode, reality dictates your feelings. Creation mode, your feelings start influencing your reality.
That's a good way to put it. And the problem is, chronic stress, even just from thinking stressful thoughts, worrying about the future, reliving the past, keeps us locked in survival. Our baseline becomes that imbalanced reactive state.
Making it harder to even access that creation state.
Exactly. It becomes the norm.
So shifting out of survival seems key. Now let's talk transformation. Dispenza has these amazing stories in his book. They seem to support the inner state changing outer world idea pretty strongly.
They really do. There's the piano study, for example. People just mentally rehearsed playing a piano piece.
Didn't touch a piano.
Nope, just mentally practiced. And their brain scans showed changes in the motor cortex areas, almost identical to the people who physically practiced.
Wow. Thought alone physically rewired their brains for a skill they never physically did.
Wild, isn't it? It shows the power of focused mental rehearsal, neuroplasticity in action.
What else?
We mentioned Dr. Rain's DNA study intention plus emotion-changing DNA structure. There was also a study with diabetics.
The laughter one.
That's it. Watching a comedy show measurably changed gene expression related to blood sugar control compared to watching a boring lecture. Laughter and emotional state had a biological effect.
Okay, so mind and emotion impact biology. That seems pretty clear from these. What about bigger life changes?
He shares personal accounts too. Like Bill, who had cancer, worked intensely on changing his deep-seated bitterness, moved away from his triggering environment, and experienced remission.
So emotional and environmental shifts coinciding with physical healing.
Or Monique, who felt chronic lack, focused on abundance in meditation, and then unexpectedly received significant sums of money from forgotten sources.
Manifestation. Coincidence. That's where it gets debated, I guess.
For sure. And Jose, whose warts vanished after a profound meditative experience where he felt whole and complete.
These are powerful anecdotes. Dispenza talks about needing to overcome your environment, body, and time. What's that about?
It's about breaking those dependencies. Overcoming the environment means not letting your external world dictate your feelings, think and feel greater than your circumstances.
Don't wait for success to feel successful. Feel successful first.
Kinda, yeah. Overcoming the body means not being ruled by its conditioned habits and feelings, telling your body it's no longer the mind.
Taking conscious control back from those automatic emotional programs.
Right. And overcoming time means stop living in the past, regrets, or future anxieties. Be present. Pull your focus out of the predictable timeline.
So you can create something new, not just repeat the past.
Exactly. It's about becoming more energy, less matter, more wave, less particle in a sense, by making your inner thought and feeling more real than the outer world.
How do you do that?
Through focused attention. Meditation is the key tool. Quieting the external senses, the body's feedback, the analytical mind's chatter, getting to that state of no body, no thing, no time, pure consciousness.
Accessing the operating system, maybe. The subconscious.
That's the goal. Meditation helps shift brain waves from active beta, analytical mind, down to alpha and theta, more subconscious, suggestible states. The analytical mind often acts as a barrier.
The critical voice saying, this won't work.
Exactly. You need to get past that gatekeeper to unmemorize old emotions and recondition the body to a new mind, a new state of being.
It requires self-awareness too, right? Metacognition.
Hugely important. You have to notice the old patterns playing out in real time. Observe your thoughts and feelings without automatically reacting. That creates the space for conscious choice.
And then you mentally rehearse the new you.
Yes. Vividly imagine and feel what it's like to be that changed person, grateful, healthy, abundant, whatever it is. Do it repeatedly to build new neural pathways and generate the new emotional chemistry. Rewire and recondition.
There's one more concept I want to touch on. The gap. The difference between who we are inside and how we appear.
Ah, yes. The gap between our true self and our projected persona. He argues that persona is often built on those memorized, often negative emotions, unworthiness, fear, anger that we hide.
So we act confident but feel insecure. Or act happy but feel sad.
Precisely. We project an image to survive socially. And interestingly, he suggests relationships often form based on shared emotional states, even negative ones. We bond over shared wounds or anxieties.
So if you start to change your core emotional state, heal those wounds.
It can shift your relationships. You might outgrow certain dynamics, or they might transform with you. The goal is to close that gap.
So how you appear is who you genuinely are inside. Authenticity.
That's the idea. True freedom comes when there's no gap, when your inner and outer selves are congruent.
Okay, wow. So wrapping this up,
Yeah.
we've covered a lot. This idea that we're basically running on emotional habits, almost like addictions.
Yeah. Deeply wired through that brain-body connection.
And the really mind-bending part, how our thoughts and feelings might actually interact with the quantum field, potentially influencing our reality.
Leading to that debate. Are we in separate realities? We heard the enthusiastic, yes, maybe, and the skeptical, well, maybe not completely separate.
And those incredible transformation stories suggest there's definitely something powerful going on between our inner state and outer experience.
Absolutely. Whether it's reshaping biology or attracting different circumstances, the potential seems vast.
So the separate realities question might remain open for debate, but the power to change our internal state seems undeniable.
And that power gives us agency to break free from limiting patterns and consciously create a different experience of life.
Which leaves us with a final thought for everyone listening. If we can get addicted to familiar states like worry or resentment, what new empowering addictions could you consciously cultivate?
Like an addiction to gratitude, or
Right.
feeling whole, or maybe appreciation.
Exactly. What reality are your thoughts and feelings creating for you right now? It's definitely something to ponder.
We'd encourage folks to check out Joe Dispenza's work if this resonates, maybe explore more about quantum physics and consciousness, and reflect on your own lifetimes when an inner shift seemed to change things outside.
Yeah. Ultimately, this deep dive really highlights that we're not just passive bystanders. We have this incredible potential to be creators, to break habits, and to consciously shape our journey.
It's an empowering message.
Definitely. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.